Have you ever felt like you were putting in so much effort, yet not truly moving forward? As if you were running on an invisible treadmill, caught in a world that keeps demanding us to be faster, better, and more. Always more. Each day passes, and we carry invisible weights on our shoulders. An endless to-do list, an inbox overflowing with requests, and a mind constantly stirred by the noise of the outside world. We search for peace, yet only grow busier. We long for simplicity, yet life grows increasingly complex. Something feels off, a deep disconnection between the life we are living and the person we wish to become. And perhaps the answer is not in doing more, not in adopting a new time management system, not in chasing a bigger goal, and certainly not in acquiring another thing. Perhaps real change begins the moment we learn how to stop. Today we will not talk about what to add. Instead, we will quietly explore 7 things we can stop doing, right now, to make life lighter. This is not a list of rules. It is an invitation to return to stillness, a journey to declutter not just your living space, but your soul. Because sometimes, freedom does not come from building more. It comes from letting go. 1. Accumulating too many possessions. Have you ever stood before a drawer, trying to close it but failing? You push harder, exert more force, yet some object inside, stubborn and invisible, resists you. That scene, so achingly familiar, probably does not happen only in the physical world. It is playing out inside our minds. Our lives have become an overstuffed drawer, and we keep pushing without remembering that perhaps what we really need to do is take some things out. We begin today by stopping a seemingly harmless habit, accumulating too many possessions. Where does this urge come from? It is not simply a fondness for shopping. It is a persistent whisper from deep within, the whisper of scarcity. It is the fear of a future without enough, shaped by past experience. Perhaps an impoverished childhood, a period of economic hardship, or the diffuse insecurity that modern society implants in us every day. We hoard objects like a shield, a reassurance that I am prepared. Ironically, those very shields turn our homes and minds into chaotic storage rooms, eroding the peace we sought in the first place. And then, the things begin to tell our story. No, more precisely, they tell the stories of versions of ourselves we no longer are, or never were. A dusty trophy on the bookshelf stands for a glory that has passed. A never-used set of exercise gear symbolizes an unfinished health goal. Gifts that feel impossible to discard are kept because discarding them feels like severing a relationship or erasing a memory. Each object becomes an invisible tether, binding us to the past and anchoring us to an imagined, idealized self. We do not own our things own us. What was kept to protect the future can become a cage that imprisons the present. We deceive ourselves into thinking ownership will bring happiness. Indeed, there is a brief pleasure when we buy something new, a quick hit of dopamine, a fleeting sense of victory. What happens next? The excitement fades as quickly as morning mist. The new object becomes familiar and gradually drifts into oblivion, becoming part of the visual noise of a room. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Our sense of happiness rapidly returns to baseline, and to recreate that pleasure, we need something bigger, newer. It is an endless loop, a treadmill that never stops. Studies make this clear. Experiences, a trip, a concert, a meaningful meal with loved ones, deliver deeper, more lasting happiness than material things. Experiences nourish the soul, possessions only occupy space. So, what would life look like with only what truly matters? It would not be empty. It would be full of room to breathe, to think, to create. Full of time, the most precious asset, freed from hours spent cleaning, organizing, and repairing what is unnecessary. Full of freedom from financial burden, freedom from the pressure to compare oneself to others, and, most importantly, freedom from the past. When you remove physical obstacles, you clear mental ones as well. Focus sharpens. Peace ceases to be an abstract idea and becomes a felt presence in each breath, in the quiet of a tidy room. Stopping the accumulation of things is not an act of giving up. It is an act of choosing experience over material goods, choosing serenity over chaos, choosing yourself, here and now. 2. Wasteful spending. Have you ever stood before a store, your heart beating just a little faster at the sight of 4 blazing red words, "Flash sale"? There is a strange kind of magic in those percentages, a promise of victory, a bargain that feels like it is yours alone to claim. We step inside, not because we need something, but because we are afraid of missing out. Our minds are instantly anchored to the crossed-out original price, and every decision that follows revolves around the illusion of money saved. It is not a conscious choice. It is a programmed reflex, that fleeting rush when you swipe the card, when you hold the newly hunted item in your hand. It feels like a sedative for an unsettled soul, a small triumph against a system that always seems to demand more of us. But how long does that victory last? When the bright mall lights fade behind you, when the item rests silently in a corner of your room, the initial excitement dissolves, leaving only a quiet emptiness. That is when we realize the real cost, not the number on the receipt, but the space it invades in our homes, the energy we spend cleaning, arranging, and ultimately forgetting it. The real cost lies in the opportunities lost, the meal that could have been shared with loved ones, the class that could have taught a new skill, the trip that could have healed your spirit. Each unnecessary item brought home is not just an object. It is a tangible weight, a reminder of an impulsive decision, a quiet regret that occupies space in our minds. Retailers are masters at crafting false urgency. Today only. Limited stock. These phrases do not sell products. They sell fear, the fear of exclusion, the fear of not having what others might. And in a moment of weakness, we buy the fear itself. Try this in silence. Take out last month's bank statement. Do not see it as numbers. Read it as a diary, a brutally honest diary, recording not what you say you value, but what you truly prioritize through action. Where is your money flowing? Is it nourishing the garden of your soul you long to cultivate? Or is it leaking into barren soil, into instant conveniences and fleeting pleasures? You may notice the cost of daily takeout coffee outweighs the books you meant to buy, or that expensive ride-sharing trips have stolen the budget you had dreamed of setting aside for a meditation course. This is not judgment. This is a dialogue with yourself. Each expense is a trace, revealing the deeper beliefs that unconsciously shape your life. It shows where you seek comfort, what you are running from, and where you are truly investing your life energy. Facing this financial mirror may feel uncomfortable, but it is the first brave step toward reclaiming control. Because the imbalance in your bank account is only a reflection of the imbalance within your soul. When your spending and your values are out of tune, an invisible tension slowly eats away at you. And this is where the transformation begins, when you stop spending unconsciously and start choosing with intention. Intention does not mean stinginess, it means reverence. Reverence for every dollar you earn, reverence for the space you inhabit, and above all, reverence for your finite life. Wealth is redefined. It is no longer about having much, but needing little. Each purchase becomes an affirmation of the person you want to be. Instead of buying that 10th shirt because it is on sale, you invest in an experience that will become a memory. Instead of another flashy gadget, you spend on your mental well-being. Slowly, you begin to realize freedom does not come from being able to buy anything you want, but from no longer being bound by want. This is a shift from enriching your closet to enriching your soul. Every mindful dollar spent becomes a seed planted for the future, a vote for the life you truly desire. Gradually, a lightness spreads through you. The burden of consumer debt fades. The pressure to maintain a hollow lifestyle disappears. In its place comes peace and power. Power in knowing that every choice you make is building a life that is steady, meaningful, and authentic. Because when you spend with intention, you are not just buying an object. You are buying back your time, your freedom, and your serenity. True wealth is not being able to buy everything. It is needing nothing at all. 3. Comparing yourself to others. Have you ever, in the stillness of late night, let your fingers drift aimlessly across the glowing screen of your phone? The cold blue light reflects on your face as your eyes skim through an endless reel of other people's lives, a trip to a tropical paradise, an engagement straight out of a fairy tale, a proud announcement of a promotion, a sunlit, perfectly tidy kitchen you have always wished for. Each image, each crafted caption, polished to perfection, like shimmering fragments of a flawless life. And then, in that silence, a familiar feeling creeps in. A heavy ache, a whispering question, why not me? We tell ourselves it is inspiration, that seeing the success of others will push us to try harder. But let us be honest, does that feeling truly fuel us? Or is it a more subtle erosion, a sweet poison slowly gnawing away at our confidence? Social comparison theory tells us that when we continually look upward at those who seem better, we do not gain strength. Instead, we plant seeds of envy, insecurity, and inadequacy in the soil of our souls. Their joy unintentionally becomes the yardstick of our own shortcomings. Each victory they display on social media feels like a silent confirmation of our hidden failures. We live in an age of highlight reels. Everyone chooses the most flattering angle, the most radiant moment to showcase. No one uploads images of sleepless nights, tears of failure, heated arguments, or unpaid bills. We compare the entirety of our lives, with all its messy chapters, unfinished pages, and struggles, to a single, meticulously edited chapter of someone else's. It is a game we can never win. It drains our energy, distracts us from our own path, and worst of all, it steals the joy from the small victories we should be proud of. And then, beyond the digital world, come the tangible pressures. From childhood, we are placed on an invisible racetrack, chasing finish lines society has drawn for us. A prestigious career, a big house, a luxury car. But where did these standards of success come from? Have you ever paused to ask yourself, is this truly my dream or a dream imposed on me? Glossy advertisements, romantic films, family expectations, all of these have quietly constructed a definition of happiness your heart may never have truly longed for. We strive for these milestones not because they bring inner fulfillment, but because they serve as proof to the world. I have made it. We become actors in our own play, forgetting that happiness is not a performance. So, where does healing begin? It begins the moment you allow yourself to turn your eyes away from someone else's path and look down at your own feet, at the unique, unrepeatable road only you can walk. Stopping comparison is the first revolutionary act of reclaiming sovereignty over your life. That is when you shift the definition of happiness from an external measurement to an internal sensation. Happiness may not be a high title, but the peace in your mind after a day's work. It may not be a sprawling house, but a cozy corner where you can simply be yourself. It may not be extravagant trips, but a deep conversation with a kindred spirit, or the joy of creating something with your own hands. When you no longer care about what others are doing, a vast space opens within your mind. The energy once wasted on envy and insecurity is transformed into creativity and self-growth. You begin tending to your own garden instead of peeking at the neighbors. You water your unique seeds, delight in each tender sprout, and cherish its singular beauty. You understand that every flower has its own season, its own journey. The flower does not think of competing with the flower beside it. It simply blooms. And so do you. Allow yourself to bloom in your own way, in your own season, without needing applause or recognition from anyone. Because true peace and joy are found only when you fully accept and lovingly embrace your own journey. 4. Checking every phone notification. Think back to the last time you were truly immersed in the pages of a book, in an unbroken stream of thought, in the gaze of another person, or simply in the taste of a steaming cup of tea. Do you remember that feeling? The feeling that time had paused, that your mind was sharp and calm, that the outside world had dissolved, and only you in the present moment remained. And then, ping. A brief sound, a faint vibration across the table, a flash of light in the corner of the screen. That is all it takes. Yet it is powerful enough to shatter everything. The fragile thread of focus you had just woven snaps in an instant. The thought you had begun to shape scatters and hides. That deep connection with the present moment is stolen away by an invisible tap on the shoulder from the digital world. We tell ourselves it takes only a second to glance, but science has shown a harsher truth. The mind can need more than 20 minutes to return to the depth of concentration it held before the interruption. Think about that. Every single notification, even the most meaningless, is a thief, stealing 20 precious minutes of focus and creativity from your life. We are living in an undeclared war, a battle for our own attention. Every day our phones buzz dozens, even hundreds of times. It is like a restless child, demanding constant care. And we, like exhausted parents, hurry to respond. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, among those hundreds of urgent calls, how many truly matter? And matter to whom? A message from a loved one, of course. An urgent call, absolutely. But the rest? A social media like, a promotional email, a game update? The truth is, more than 99% of those pings are not information. They are noise. Noise designed with precision to exploit our psychology. Each notification is a tiny gamble, promising a surprise reward, a compliment, a piece of news, a bargain. And our brains, hungry for those bursts of dopamine, become addicted to the act of checking. We do not check because we need to. We check because we have been programmed to. Our attention has become a resource to be mined, and we are giving it away freely, not realizing we are becoming poorer in focus, in calm, and in the depth of our inner lives. So, where does the solution lie? In one small, revolutionary act: intentional silence. Try, just once, going into your settings and turning off every non-essential notification. Turn off the alerts from social media, from shopping apps, from games. Keep only what truly serves your life, instead of stealing it. At first, the silence may feel strange, like stepping out of a loud party into a quiet room. You may feel restless, like you were missing something. But be patient, because beyond that restlessness is a priceless gift. The gift of time returned, the gift of mental space. When you are no longer interrupted by meaningless pings, you begin to hear other sounds, ones long forgotten. You hear your own voice. You begin to notice your own thoughts instead of being swept away by the thoughts of others. Even boredom, once something to escape, becomes fertile ground where creativity takes root. When your mind is no longer fragmented, you can give your full presence to what truly matters. Your conversations become deeper because you are not glancing at your phone. Your work becomes more effective because you can enter a flow state without interruption. Your sleep becomes richer because your mind is no longer overstimulated before bed. You begin to live proactively rather than reactively. You decide when you need information instead of letting information decide for you. In silence, we do not find answers. We hear the right questions. And the right question may be, what truly deserves my attention today? Turning off unnecessary notifications is not running away from the world. It is a courageous step toward truly connecting with the world and with yourself in a fuller, more meaningful way. 5. Chasing perfection. Do you recognize that voice? The whisper inside you every time you're about to begin something new. When you sit before a blank page, it says, "Do not write unless your words are extraordinary." When you are about to send an important email, it warns, "Read it a 10th time, just in case there is the tiniest mistake." When you look at yourself in the mirror, it judges, "Still not good enough, still something missing." That is the voice of perfectionism, the harshest warden we have built within our own minds. We often dress perfectionism in the elegant cloak of excellence and high standards. But if we gently lift that cloak, what we find underneath is not strength, but trembling fear. Fear of judgment, fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear that if we cannot present a flawless version of ourselves, others will discover the truth, that we are not good enough, not worthy enough. Perfection becomes a shield, an armor we believe can protect our fragile sense of self. But every armor grows heavy. It does not only protect, it imprisons. It stops us from beginning because we fear we cannot finish perfectly. It makes us procrastinate because doing nothing feels safer than producing something imperfect. It strangles creativity because creativity requires experimentation and mistakes, things perfectionism cannot tolerate. We spend endless time polishing tiny details and forget the larger picture. We become trapped in preparing for life rather than actually living it. The truth is, perfection does not exist in the human world. It is an illusion, a horizon that only retreats the more we chase it. Look to nature. Do you see a tree that grows perfectly straight? Or do you see its beauty in crooked branches, in scars of time, in the way it twists irregularly toward the light? In Japanese culture, there is a philosophy called wabi-sabi, the art of finding beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. A teacup becomes more precious because of a small crack, because it tells a story. A moss-covered wall holds a deeper beauty than a wall painted smooth and flawless. Nature is not perfect, yet it is whole. So is our life. It is woven of successes and failures, joys and sorrows, strengths and weaknesses. To chase perfection is to deny half the beauty of existence, to deny the very essence of being human. Beauty does not live in perfection. It lives in the cracks where light can enter. So, where is the way out of this gilded prison? The way out lies in two liberating words: good enough. Accepting good enough is not an act of mediocrity or compromise. It is an act of compassion for yourself. It is giving yourself permission to be human, to make mistakes, to learn, to move forward. When you allow your work to be good enough, you finish it, and you open the door to feedback that helps you grow. When you accept your appearance as good enough, you free energy from self-judgment and redirect it toward health and joy. When you embrace your relationship as good enough, you stop chasing an impossible ideal and begin cherishing the authentic connection right before you. Good enough is the doorway to action. It is the choice of progress over paralysis. In minimalism, this means you do not need a perfect home like in a magazine. You need only a good enough space that gives you peace. You do not need a perfect system for work. You need only a good enough flow that frees your mind. By letting go of the burden of perfection, we simplify our lives at the deepest level. We release unrealistic expectations, self-imposed pressures, and free ourselves to focus on what truly brings meaning and joy. 6. Clinging to the past. Imagine your mind as a house, a private, sacred space that belongs only to you. But instead of filling that house with the light and fresh air of the present, we have a tendency to turn it into a museum of the past. Each room displays a relic, a hurtful word that still echoes, a wrong decision we cannot stop regretting, an unfinished conversation we wish we could rewrite, the shadow of someone we once loved but could not let go of. Every day we wander through the museum of our own making. We spend our energy polishing old artifacts, replaying faded reels, drowning in the familiar emotions of regret, anger, or loss. We call it reflection, but in truth, it is captivity. The precious life force of today is drained to sustain the ghosts of yesterday. Just as hoarding physical belongings clutters our living space, hoarding old stories clutters our inner space. We cannot truly be present in the room of now, because our minds are still busy rearranging the furniture in the room of the past. And tell me, how can we live fully in two places at once? They say holding on to pain is like grasping a burning coal, waiting for the right moment to throw it at someone else. You stand there, teeth clenched, enduring the searing heat, waiting. But as you wait, the only one burned, the only one scarred, is you. The past is an event that has ended. The original wound may have been caused by someone else, but the suffering that lingers today is caused by us, by our refusal to let go of the coal. We believe that remembering pain will protect us, that it will stop us from repeating mistakes. But constantly touching an open wound does not make it heal faster. It only makes it bleed and fester. Repressed pain does not disappear. It poisons the present. It shapes the way we see the world, makes us suspicious in new relationships, fearful of new opportunities, unable to trust in a different future. We are allowing what is already dead to poison what is still alive. So, how do we let go? How do we release the burning coal? The journey of release begins with acceptance. Acceptance that the past cannot be changed. Acceptance that you did the best you could with what you knew at that time. Letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is not excusing the wrongdoing of others. Letting go is, first and foremost, an act of liberation for yourself. It is the moment you decide that your peace in the present matters more than your pain in the past. It is the recognition that continuing to hold the coal will never punish anyone but yourself. Letting go is not a loss. It is the reclaiming of yourself. And when you find the courage to release, a wondrous space opens up. The house of your mind, for the first time in a long time, will have empty rooms. The light of the present can pour in. The fresh air of new possibilities can flow freely. You will have room for new thoughts, new feelings, new connections. The energy once imprisoned in the past will be freed for the present. To listen deeply to a piece of music, to truly savor the taste of a meal, to look into the eyes of someone you love without the shadows of old ghosts in the way. This is the essence of minimalism, not just clearing out a closet, but clearing out the soul, keeping only what nourishes and sustains life, here and now. 7. Neglecting self-care. Of all the things we have learned to let go of, possessions, overspending, comparison, noise, perfection, even the past, there is one final thing we strangely continue to neglect: ourselves. We often cloak this neglect in the noble robe of sacrifice. I do not have time for myself. Work is too demanding. My family needs me more. We pour generously into the cups of others, for our boss, our colleagues, our family, our friends, and feel proud of it. But then one day, we look down at our own cup and realize it has been empty for a very long time. Society has taught us a false story. That busyness is a badge of honor, that working ourselves to exhaustion is proof of devotion, that rest is laziness, and that taking time for ourselves is selfish. We confuse our self-worth with our productivity, and so we begin to sacrifice. We skip a meal to finish a task. We cut an hour of sleep to answer emails. We turn down a walk just to please someone else. Each time, we tell ourselves it is for something greater. But is it really sacrifice, or simply forgetting ourselves? The truth is, when you operate from an empty cup, you cannot give your best. You can only give your fatigue, your irritability, and the leftovers of your energy. Neglecting yourself is not noble. It is silent self-sabotage. It erodes physical health, chips away at mental peace, and ultimately harms the very relationships you are trying to nurture. You cannot be a good friend, a good colleague, or a good family member if you are not first good to yourself. It is time to shift the perspective. See rest, exercise, and quiet moments not as wasted time, but as strategic investments. In Japan, there is the art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with lacquer mixed with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, the artisan highlights them, turning them into gleaming golden veins, making the object even more beautiful and valuable than before. Caring for yourself is like the art of kintsugi. Moments of rest are the golden lacquer that heals the cracks in your soul after life's collisions. Deep sleep is when those golden seams set, creating resilience. A nourishing meal, a gentle workout. These polish the repair, transforming it into the beauty of strength. Self-care is not a sign of weakness. It is the art of restoration. Your true home is not the place where you live. It is your body and your mind. This is the one possession that will stay with you for your entire life. You can change houses, jobs, or cities, but you can never move out of your body and mind. So why do we spend so much time tidying and decorating our physical homes, yet neglect the home of our soul? The deepest form of minimalism does not end with decluttering the outer world. Its ultimate destination is clearing away toxic habits, limiting beliefs and distractions from caring for this inner home. Self-care is not a luxury to add on. It is the foundation. It is tidying the most important room of all. It is refilling your own cup so you can pour into others generously and sustainably. When you take time to nourish your body and honor the rest your mind needs, you are practicing the purest form of minimalism, removing what is unnecessary so you can preserve what is essential: your health, your peace, and the vital energy of your life. Our journey together comes to a gentle close here, but the path within you is only just beginning to open. Simplicity is not a destination, but a space, a quiet space we create, little by little, every time we choose to let go instead of hold on. It is not a loud revolution, but a silent homecoming, a return to your own breath, to the morning light streaming through your window, to the simple comfort of a warm cup of tea. Life will still go on with all of its demands, but now, I hope you have discovered a sanctuary within yourself, a place untouched by the noise of the outside world. And now, in this silence, what do you hear? If today's journey brought you even a small sense of peace, I invite you to share just one word in the comments below, one word that captures how you feel in this very moment. Each of your words is a spark, adding to a community that honors depth and stillness. And if you would like to continue walking this path together, a simple like on this video is a warm gesture, and subscribing is a promise for more meaningful conversations in the future. I wish you a gentle journey ahead, and thank you truly for being here.